Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great Wednesday, great week after all the festivities for Turkey Day last week. How many of you had a big Thanksgiving dinner or meal that you overindulged a little bit? I actually did not this year just because of some gut issues I've got going on, but I did enjoy some food that was a little bit off my normal plan. So that was super fun. Got to see my sister, who's actually on my live right now. Hello, sis. So I am hosting this on Instagram as well as my YouTube channel. So if you all want to make sure to check out my YouTube, I'm going to be hosting this weekly on Wednesdays at 12:30 Eastern Time, calling it Wellness Wednesday. And today's topic, we are going over end of the year reflection as well as goal setting and going into the new year with a clear mindset and having gratitude. So to get started, we'll go ahead and open up with a little deep breathing practice because it's super important. So go ahead and close your eyes if you like. I'm going to take a count for 3 seconds in. 1, 2, 3. Hold that for 1, 2, 3, and go ahead and breathe out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. Today I'm grateful for the community that's joining me in this journey, that we can connect and learn and grow together and better serve the world. So I hope that as you go about your week, you don't feel frightened that you can't take a moment of time for yourself, even if it's hopping on a live like this, even if it's taking 2 minutes to do a breathing practice, that you are valuable and are allowed to do things for yourself to better your health and yourself. And today, as we think about December 1st, it's also a new moon coming up on Saturday. A lot of shifts going into Sagittarius. I am not super experienced in astrology, but I do like learning about it and learning about the moon system and the cycles and knowing that we are going into a change. A lot of times when we think about winter time, we know that it is a time to hibernate, a time to be reflective and to kind of nestle in and really get our grounding back. And I think this year has been extremely hard on a lot of people. We've been losing our grounding, not just from the way that maybe COVID has affected someone or the political landscape has affected someone, but a lot of people have very judgmental feelings and reactions and responses. And one thing that we can do better is to get that grounding and center back. I just posted on my page about how the biggest mistake that I've done was trying to meet the expectations of other people when I didn't even have expectations for myself and who I wanted to be and what I wanted to become. And so that's something that we can all start to do, is look at what are the expectations that we have for ourselves for going into this new year. You don't have to use the word expectation. The word expectation in itself can usually lean towards feeling like you are in a box, feeling like you only have a finite number of options, limited resources. Expectations sound like rules. And a lot of times that leaves a sour taste in people's mouth. But if we think about expectations instead of a boundary, but in fact a way that we can better nourish ourselves and ways that we want to think, feel, and act, then we can have better results in our day-to-day lives. So for example, maybe you're reflecting on how your fitness goals went this year, and maybe you had a goal that you wanted to squat over 200 pounds. Was it a realistic goal or expectation you had for yourself based on your lifestyle, based on your habits, based on your health? Did you have an injury come up? Were you getting good sleep? Were you seeing a deep tissue therapist? Were you able to invest in those things? Maybe you bought a foam roller this year so you could actually foam roll at home, and you spent that $20 and that was a lot for you, but you did it. And that is actually exceeding those expectations for yourself. So I have a few great journal prompts for the end of the year reflection. And those of you who follow me closely, you know that I've got a planner here. I use the Clever Fox planner, not sponsored. I get it off of Amazon, full transparency. And within it, every month, I try and do a reflection. I still need to do November's, but I try and do a reflection on what happened this month. How did I achieve my goals? What changed? What were some things that went well? What were some things that kind of threw me off kilter a little bit and I need to readjust? What are some things I want to do going into the next month? And so even in the seasons of life that we're in, where we feel a lot of pressure and we feel a lot of judgment, we feel a lot of this just angst, if we can take some time to ground ourselves and reflect on who we are, who we're becoming, we can be a lot happier in our progress and in those steps that we're making towards our ultimate health. So I'm going to list off some of these prompts that might help you as well. So first, what are the lessons that you're grateful for experiencing this last year and why? So don't necessarily think about it as a failure or if you didn't do something that you wanted to accomplish. You think of it as a lesson, just like when we were in school when we were kids. What's changed over this last year for you and why? And this can go pretty deep, which is why these are journal prompts. So you want to take some time to yourself and maybe jot down in your journal. You can do this while you're doing cardio or sitting in the sauna, taking a bath, whatever is going to work best for you in your day. What brought you the most joy in this past year and why? So we're not only focusing on what's changed and what lessons you learned, but what has brought you joy. A good book that I'm reading right now I can recommend is called Joyful. I have the audiobook version, and it's talking about, I believe there's 8 different ways that we get joy in our day-to-day lives. So great read for anyone who's looking for more joy. What are you the most excited to focus on in this new year and why? So a lot of times we maybe get caught up in what we didn't do in the current year, but instead we can focus on what are we excited to do this next year. We're grounding ourselves in who we are and what we want to become, focusing on the next phase. What aspects of yourself are you feeling the most accepting and balanced with? And I think this is a really great question because a lot of the times we don't really think about all of us. We get caught up in one aspect of who we are. Maybe it's our aesthetics. Maybe it's our role as a parent, our role as a spouse, our role as a manager. But think about all of who you are, and it's beyond a title or a responsibility. What aspect of yourself do you want to work on now? So maybe it's not something that you're bad at. Maybe it's something that you're really good at and you want to get great at it. So maybe it's like we're talking about, you're good at squats. Maybe your next goal is you want to improve your squat form so much that you can do a powerlifting meet or a squat contest in 2022. Who knows? So what department of your work or business feels like it's really thriving right now? Once again, we're focusing on the positive. What's going really well and thriving for you? What aspect of work or business feels like it needs more attention? For me, that's the financial management and record keeping. I suck at it and I hate it, but I need to get better at it and own it. What are your top priorities in this current season of life? I love this question because I can't even tell you how many times people ask me, Caroline, when's your next competition? That's not in my season of life right now. I'm still training. I'm still following a nutrition plan. I'm still posing, but I'm not advertising it. I'm not really posting about it because for my current season of life, we are doing financial planning and we are possibly getting a home in like a week, and we are focusing on moving, and I am in therapy and I'm focusing on my mental health. So my current season of life, those are my top priorities. And so maybe you feel like you're stuck in this expectation of what people have seen you been doing or know you for. And it's okay to have that persona, but it's also even better to know what that next season might look like. I've got a friend who I'm going to be signing on as a client, and she's pregnant. So her current season of life is to carry this baby to term and to have a healthy child. But in that next season, when she's going to start up with me, it's to make her body healthier and to feel like she owns her health and her body again. And that's the next season that she's focused on. But she's focusing in the now, in the present. What do you feel is no longer serving you to focus on in this current season? Maybe it's a relationship. Somebody isn't serving you and you always feel like you're walking on nails when you're around them. Maybe it's a job that just does not fit what you want to do. Yeah, it makes money, but you could also get another job making money. Maybe it's some of your items in your apartment or house that just sit there collecting dust and they don't serve to bring you joy, like we just spoke to. What boundaries do you need to create to help you be more balanced? Boundaries are healthy, just like we were talking about expectations. If you think about boundaries, they are to protect us, to protect you and yourself. So if you create these boundaries to better serve you, what ones do you need to create? Or what ones do you actually need to uphold that you said you created, but you're not really following through with? What are some habits that you want to start or change? So when it comes to the new year, this is usually the biggest issue that people have, is they are creating too many new habits. And then they fall through with all of them and they don't see success. So instead of trying to create all new habits, maybe you're modifying two. You can have multiple goals. And just like I was talking about in my planner, you can have several things that you're working on at one time, but you need to identify what's new versus what you're modifying to know what you can actually hold yourself to accomplish. And maybe at one point you think you can do more than you can. Start small. I find that setting 2 new habits at a time is usually the most successful, and then add another 2. And then add another 2. And studies show it usually takes at minimum 21 days to form a habit. To change a habit is usually going to be longer, especially if it's one that you are not comfortable doing. So for me, I need to get back into a habit of reviewing my bank accounts and finances on a weekly basis. I used to do that, and now I've fallen out of it. So that's a habit that I want to improve on, and I'm figuring out different ways that I can incorporate that. 2 more prompts. What are the skills that you want to cultivate this next year? And I really like this question because when we think about as humans, we are meant to learn and evolve. And so if we're developing a skill, it's something that can help bring out that creativity, bring out that childlike spirit that's within us. And that's what can help us live a life that's beyond that monotony day-to-day rut. So, for example, one thing I want to do in 2022 is I want to learn to dance. And part of that is I've always wanted to learn to dance, but the other part of it is I know it'll bring out more of my femininity and that energy that I've been trying to cultivate. So it's a little multi-layered for me, but that's one skill that I want to cultivate this next year. So last but not least, I think this is a really great question and prompt for all of you is, what are the values that you want to bring into the new year? Some of these will be current. Some of them might be brand new. But values are who we are at our core. Morals, ethics, and values all go down to what is it that we believe and how we act and how we think about the way our energy is being exuded into the world. What are those values? Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, this is pretty fun. So, hope you all took notes of those prompts. And like I said, I'm going to be doing these weekly lives on YouTube specifically. I figure I'd hop on Instagram as well to get some people to join in and get more awareness to it. But if you guys have any questions right now, would be glad to answer some of those. The t-shirt, it's actually from when I competed at the Junior USA shows in 2019. I was actually just reflecting on some of those old photos and videos from that prep and what that experience was like, and it was definitely a different time in my life. So not good nor bad, just different. And it's interesting to see how much I've evolved in the past 2 years, not only physically but spiritually and mentally. Belly dancing would be definitely open to try it. I need to get more fluid in my hip mobility before I'm gonna get good at it or post it anywhere. But I will say I am going to an aerial yoga / pole dancing class next week. So I'm pretty excited to try that out and see how it goes. So is there anything that you all are going to be trying into the new year, or any of these prompts that really spoke to you? Would love to hear it. Make sure you drink your water too. So I'm going to be going to the gym here in a little bit. My legs are pretty sore, so I think it's going to be upper body day, maybe some banded glutes, but nothing heavy because I'm like really tired. So listening to the body is key. Awesome. If you're in Atlanta, I'd be glad to check you out. I'm not traveling anywhere at this time. We are going down to nationals in a couple of weeks, but beyond that, the travel schedule is pretty open. Looking to plan a trip though for my 30th birthday next year, so I need to get that on the schedule for sure. But anyways, I thank you all for joining. I hope this serves you well and that you can continue to have a blessed and successful week, friends.